Distinguished guests, we are going to talk about human rights violations in Caucasus. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Ünsal as the moderator. In the name of God Almighty, distinguished participants, I would like to greet you all on behalf of İMKANDER. I would like to congratulate İMKANDER for having organized this very important meeting. This is a historic meeting and a historic session. I would like to thank the organizing committee for having invited us and for having given us this opportunity. During the first session, we talked about the history of struggle in Northern Caucasus. We listened to two speeches, deliberations, which contained very important details about the history of this geography. We refreshed our memories, so to speak. So the first session laid the groundwork for the second session. That's why I would like to thank the previous speakers as well. We have 4 speakers in this session. The first speaker will be delivered by Finnish human rights activist Mr. Mikael Storsjö. He has 20 minutes. If the presentations are clear enough that will not call for any question, then we will not have Q&A session. We will give 20 minutes to each speaker and then we will have a very short wrap-up. Michael, the floor is yours. You have 20 minutes.
In front of this audience, well, shall I start from the beginning? I want to tell my thanks to the organizers. I'm very pleased that I've been invited here and to this audience, and I think it's a very important matter that you have achieved to do here. The chairman just now introduced me as a human rights activist from Finland, and I want to tell you a few words about my background. I'm a businessman from Helsinki, the capital city of Finland. I also worked as a journalist in radio and in printed media, and I'm a member of the Finnish Federation of Journalists. I have worked within several human rights organizations. Finros Forum, that is the Finnish-Russian civic society, which deals with the civil society in Russia, which is in quite big problems nowadays. Another organization where I have been quite active is Electronic Frontier Finland, which is an organization devoted to fight for the freedom of expression on the internet, which is under threat every now and then. And I have also been an active member in the Finland-Chechnya Association. And presently I'm a member of the board of the Finnish Refugee Council, which is a government-sponsored refugee organization having about 100 employees in Finland, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Uganda and Thailand. We are working mostly abroad. But regarding Chechnya and other parts of the North Caucasus, I have been actively working with the refugee issues, helping refugees to come to Finland, to enter my country, and to settle down there. I have also been active in helping Caucasus Center by providing internet access to this valuable web publication. Now, in this speech, the topic in the conference regards human rights violations in North Caucasus. And I was given 20 minutes, and that's far too short time for going through such a massive, extensive thing as the human rights violations in North Caucasus. In fact, in North Caucasus has been the scene of the most serious human rights violations since the Second World War in Europe. And we can just mention one small example, that the death toll in Bosnia were less than 100,000 people, while reliable figures tell us that more than 260,000 people have been killed in Chechnya during the last 2 decades. And moreover, a majority of the killed persons in Bosnia were soldiers, while civilians have been the main target for Russia's aggression against the Chechen people. Thus, I will restrict my short speech to just a couple of topics which are on my mind here. The first thing is freedom of expression, and the other is the present fate of the refugees from the war-torn North Caucasia in Europe and in Turkey. Well, I will start by saying some words about the freedom of expression or freedom of speech in North Caucasus. Generally, the state of freedom of expression in Russia is on a catastrophic level nowadays. This is something we can look, for example, at the Press Freedom Index that is maintained by the organization Reporters Without Borders. Russia is today number 142 out of 179 countries in the world. And the main media freedom violations that we can notice in Russia are, according to this report from Reporters Without Borders. It's basically that the Russian state is characterized by a lack of political pluralism and having a widespread corruption. And the general human rights are widely violated. And the state has an almost total control over the broadcast media. Then we can see there an arbitrary use of so-called anti-extremism, of the anti-extremism law, which is present today. And then maybe the worst thing of everything is that we can notice an impunity for acts of violence against journalists. And this happens especially in North Caucasus. And in this, in the North Caucasus, the situation is very much worse than in the rest of Russia. And what we can see in North Caucasus is that the local authoritarian regimes have sealed the area from free media coverage from abroad or from other parts of Russia. And behind, they have built up some kind of iron curtain of information, and behind this curtain, the local tyrants, together with so-called law enforcement bodies, the Russian army, the military forces of the Internal Ministry and FSB, have built up a terrible playground for arbitrary killing of people, torture, kidnappings, and terror against the population. And those in power have a clear ambition to prevent anybody outside North Caucasus from getting knowledge about these horrible violations of human rights. If there would be calculated press freedom index for North Caucasus, then it would be for sure the last position in the list of all areas in the world. Who try or are able to raise this almost complete news blockade in North Caucasus. Novaya Gazeta, the newspaper of Anna Politkovskaya, the editor-in-chief told here some time ago that he has forbidden his journalists to write about Chechnya. And the reason is simply he has counted already too many dead bodies in his staff. Caucasia Not, or this Caucasus has been a good source of information, but they are also dependent upon the government's benevolence, which causes cautiousness in their reporting. Moreover, this website is owned by Memorial, which after the murder of Estemirova withdraw from Chechnya and hasn't come back in full power, at least yet. But then, and here we come to this, what is important with Caucasus Center, in my views. This magazine is operated from abroad, but it's practically the only news agency which forms a real alternative to the official truth and silence from the area. And regarding Caucasus Center, my own name has quite often been connected to Caucasus Center very many times in a little bit wrong way, and I would like, with a few words, take the opportunity to explain the situation and my own position. After that, the web page was established in Grozny in 1999, the editors of Caucasia Center had to seek for refuge outside their home country. And Mouladi Udugov, who was the founder of Caucasia Center, had very successfully orchestrated the Chechen informational campaign during the first war against Chechnya, the so-called Yeltsin War. And this had as a consequence that Udugov's web publication was, from the very beginning, a thorn in the flesh to Russia and the Russian ambitions in Chechnya. The Russian authorities tried, and partly also succeeded, to disturb publication of the web site in different countries: Malaysia, United States, Estonia, and Lithuania. And Caucasia Center made during these years a virtual journey around the world within just a few years. Russia pressed the different countries and companies hosting the website by all possible means in order to get them to stop their activities. In October 2004, the Lithuanian secret police eventually stopped the publication by means that later on were doomed to be illegal. But anyway, they were able to stop the Caucasia Center. In that situation, I offered web hosting at my own company in Helsinki. But within 2 days, the Russian foreign minister, Lavrov, caused the Finnish secret police to stop my web servers. And the Prime Minister Fradkov, at that time, who visited Finland in these days, explained his satisfaction over these steps. But anyway, there arose a public discussion about the topic, and virtually the whole civic society, all journalists in Finland and so on, had the opinion that the police had done something wrong. They have no authority to step into actions that belongs to the juridical system. So then I was free to raise the Caucasia Center servers again in Finland, but then it was the problem that no internet service provider were willing to take the burden of the troubles that it will cause. So in that situation, I brought the servers to Sweden, where Caucasia Center still is placed. For the moment, we have also mirror sites in Finland and in Lithuania. And for me, the whole affair around this hosting for Caucasia Center was ultimately a question about freedom of expression. I was thinking, and I'm still thinking, that the mouthpiece of Caucasian freedom fighters must have the right to get their voice heard in the world media. And from 2004 till present days, it has been quite an interesting journey to be the hosting companion partner of Caucasia Center. The Russian opponents have done all possible things in order to stop the publication. Once a year, the Russian ambassador to Sweden demands the Swedish authorities to stop the website, and once a year, the Swedish authorities denies this request, as the publication doesn't violate any Swedish law. We have encountered very strong efforts to put the server down by virus attacks and so-called denial of service attacks. Once the website's address was hijacked to Russia for 1 day by a government-owned telecom company in Moscow. Once there were started a website in Russia with the sole aim of gathering hackers in common attempts to put the Caucasia Center down. Other bad things that has happened is that family members of Caucasia Center's editor-in-chief and administrator have been detained in Chechnya in order to affect the activity of their relative abroad. Once even the Kadyrovich people called me from Grozny and tried to buy the domain. And as I would have done then, and in fact I wouldn't have the possibility even. And during the recent day, the Russians tried to get our server offline through actions within the United Nations. But all these steps of actions from the Russian side have so far been in vain. And the history of Caucasia Center is most interesting in many views when we are looking at the virtual warfare. It's said that the first virtual warfare that we have seen in the world was when the Russians attacked Estonia a couple of years ago. But I feel that they have used this Caucasia Center very much like a laboratory to see what they can do, and because all of those things that happened in Estonia had happened several years earlier with Caucasia Center. But yes, and I want to clarify one thing here that sometimes I've been misunderstood. That my task and duty regarding Caucasia Center is just to ensure the internet connection and server capacity and to assist the editors in legal matters. There are other persons who are doing the server administration. It is handling the hardware, all graphics and the functionality of the server and managing updates and so on. And the third and most important group consists of the editors and contributors of the website who writes articles on a daily basis in 4 languages. I suppose that here might be several of these people, and my thank you and gratitude. Okay. But myself, I have no role regarding the content of Caucasia Center, but as you very well know, my personal sympathy stands with those who are fighting for freedom and independence in North Caucasus. My own grandfathers, as well as my father, have been fighting for the freedom of my own fatherland with weapons in their hands. And I can assure you that subsequent generations that follows highly appreciate what their fathers and ancestors did. Regarding the refugees, I have to take it quite shortly. This part I miscalculated the time a little bit. But I look that denying a person's right to live in his own country is a major violence of human rights. When persons have to flee despots who are causing war and terror, it's a duty of other countries to show mercy and compassion. But unfortunately, very few countries fulfill their international obligations in view of refugees. In Europe, we have the Dublin Agreement, which show the responsibility to other countries, which often are not able or willing to fulfill their own responsibilities. I have myself helped some 80 Chechens to find a refuge in Finland, and some of my ideas have caused other people to follow the same style, and maybe we have got around 100 more, still more Chechens to Finland that way. And this has given me some kind of possibility to look at the situation of refugees in different countries. I know quite well the situation of Chechen refugees in Turkey, and I have several times visited the 3 refugee camps that are here in the center. I know that there is one fourth that is a little bit more distant. There I have never been. But I see that calling a refugee a guest and thereby denying him work permission and financial support and leaving his children without education is a serious human rights violation. And the organizer of this conference, İMKANDER, is doing a very great work in order to lessen the personal suffering of North Caucasians due to governmental neglect. But anyway, I'm not so proud in all respects of my own country's contribution to this refugee matter either. I think that the refugees from North Caucasus are treated with dignity when they arrive to Finland. Those who are in need of shelter mostly get their asylum and permanent allowance to stay in the country. The government ensures sufficient means for apartment and food for all the refugees. The religious beliefs of the refugees are respected, and very important, all children have the possibility to enter a school in their neighborhood, and also the parents are offered education and support in the integration to our society. These things are fine, but the number of refugees in my country is quite small compared to our resources, to our international obligations, and in comparison to our Scandinavian neighbors, Norway and Sweden. And this small number of refugees in Finland is partly due to the geographical position of Finland, but also due to such measures as when the Finnish frontier guard sent 2 or 3 persons here to Istanbul, just in order to teach the staff of Turkish Airlines how to segregate North Caucasians from other persons having a Russian passport. Basically, there is today in Europe a wish, a political wish to harmonize the refugee policy between different countries. And this might be a good idea, but there is an actual fear that the standard won't be following the level of good behaving countries, but it will rather follow a lower level. I will take then just the last thing. I have a few final words. Will take 1 minute, 10 seconds about. And as my final words, I want here to express my gratitude to all present women of on this place due to International Mother's Day that we enjoy today. We all know how difficult your situation is as refugees in keeping your families together and raising your children. And we all have a very big respect for your work. And last, I want to say that I'm very impressed over this conference. I hope that we all can continue our work for an independent and united North Caucasus. I can promise you that I will be with you also in the future. We live in difficult times, but let's remember that also diamonds are produced under pressure and in heat. Many signs show that the ideological framework of Sheikh Mansour and Imam Shamil is more close to be realized now than during a long time. The thieves and bandits who still today reside in Kremlin are close to lose their grip over the situation. More and more Russian intellectuals, we can see, argue today in favor of the Russian state to leave Caucasus, which, in fact, is a region having today fewer Russian inhabitants than Algeria had when the French, Algeria had French inhabitants when France left Algeria in the 1960s. This could be an example also for North Caucasus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now the speaker is Alexander Kavadze from Georgia. He is the representative of Caucasian Culture Center. But before I give him the floor, I would like to mention the fact that Mikael himself is also a refugee, and that's why he made reference to the standing of refugees in Sweden and Finland and in Turkey. And as Mikael said, the situation of refugees in Turkey is really not something that we should be proud of. We have been refugees throughout history after the exodus of Prophet Muhammad. There are many independent countries of Muslim inhabitants who have asked for asylum from Turkey, and Turkey needs to cover a very huge distance in order to improve the living conditions of all these refugees in Turkey. Another important issue: Mikael is a human rights activist, and he really emphasized the importance of freedom of expression and press. This is very important because in order to overcome oppression, we need to fight against ignorance, the veil of ignorance. Freedom of press, freedom of expression should be encouraged. This is maybe our biggest weapon against persecution and despotism. Therefore, I really would like to thank him for all his efforts. He has really been trying very hard to raise public awareness about human rights violations in North Caucasus. Thank you very much.